there's a lot of things that society tells its people, right? And I know that by saying society and its people, that sounds a bit contradictory because society is made out of people, right? But hear me out. When we talk about society, right, we do agree that it's the people which make the society. But there are things or there are ideals that make up the society which are not necessarily things that when you look at them from a different perspective are things that you would consider being rational or some things that make much sense. And what I'm going to be talking about today is not something that doesn't make sense, but it's something that has shaped society the way we know it today. This is the layout of what I'm going to be talking about. It's going to be the lie, why I believe it's a lie, the way forward, and in conclusion, just to summarize everything that we're going to have discussed. First, the lie. I believe that society has lied to men by telling them that they are rational and women are emotional. Now, before you fly out or before you come from wherever you are to come and knock the sense into my head, hear me out. I believe that this is a lie simply because, as we all know, society is made up of men and women. Here, I don't want to discuss anything about who's superior and who's not, but to just lay out why I believe that the idea of men being rational and women being emotional is a lie. All right, now let's get into it. Back in the days, you'd agree with me that men are the ones who went to war, okay? And the reason behind that could be that men are physically stronger than women, or it's just that they are more aggressive and all those other things. But men are the ones who went to war. And it's not so much so that women wouldn't go to war. It could have been the other way around to say that we as men, let us sit down and let the women wage war against each other, right? It's a fair battle. It's woman against woman. But that was never the case. It was man against man. Just to go further on that, if we talk about the man specifically, right? Because this is the subject of the matter, and this is the person whom we believe that is rational, right? Now, a man, think about the reasons why men wage war, okay? War. War, it's either there is a threat, it's either a man's ego has been bruised, or it's either something that has to do with taking over, right? Now, like I said, men went to war purely because their ego has been bruised. Okay, let me just put them on the side here. It was because of ego, it was because of threat. Just capitalize everything. And also to just conquer, right? Okay, now, when you look into this, you would agree with me that ego has to do with emotions, right? And here's the thing, think of it like this. We have, okay, now I just want to narrate a funny story now. We have this guy, let's call him Young, okay? And then we have his queen here. Let's call her Mary, all right? And then we have Josh. We have Josh here. Josh and Young are having a conversation, right? Josh and Young are having a conversation, and to some degree, these two guys end up getting into some sort of a disagreement, right? Josh is saying something about Young, such that Young disagrees with whatever it is that Josh is saying. And let me actually go further and say that Josh says to Young that, no man, you know what, I'm actually better than you. And if I wanted to, I can take Mary away from you, right? And then since Mary is the lady of Young, she tells him, are you really gonna take whatever it is that he's saying and leave it like that? Like, What kind of a man are you? Did you hear my words there? What do you think is going to happen? What were you going to do if you were in that case? Your ego was going to skyrocket, right? Ego. The ego of Young has skyrocketed now. And it's actually bruised here. Your ego is going to get bruised, right? Your lady in front of another man is telling you what kind of a man you are. And also to further extend that, Josh is saying to you as a man, if I wanted to, I could take your lady away from you, right? There, now your ego is bruised. Now you're getting boiled. Now you're angry. How is it that this guy is telling me all these funny things, right? And now, let's actually further extend it to say Young has a castle, right? He's the king. Yeah, let's call him a king. And then also Josh has a castle this side. Now these guys, now let's actually now further contextualize this and say this is the time of history. Now Young is like, no, you know what? We'll settle this in war. Because I can see that you're looking down on me and I'm not gonna take that for granted. Also, my lady, how do you disrespect me in front of my woman? Okay. Now these guys have actually declared war now. And the lady's there sitting and then she's like, but then if you look into it, she was the one who started all this whole thing. I know that it was Josh who said funny things to Young, but she was the one who actually fueled Young to react. Okay. And then from there, that was the ego having contributed to war. And like I said, if you look into it, this war wouldn't have happened unless an emotion was spiked from Young. His ego was bruised, fine, but he would have said to himself, you know what, he's just thinking bad of himself. Let me just leave him alone because either way, the lady is with me, right? That's rationality there. But now him waging war purely because he said, well, you can't, I mean, if I wanted to, I could just take your woman away from you. And she also added to that. Then he was driven by his emotion. His ego took over him and he waged war. Thread. I won't dwell much into thread, but you would agree with me that it makes more sense. If you're threatened, you're going to have to protect yourself. Okay. And also, this threat is also driven by the fact that you're saying to yourself, damn, I'm a man, I have a lady, I have kids, I have a family, I have to act upon this. And what's that? There's an emotion of what? Of you having that sense of love, having that sense of authority for your family to be able to protect them. Therefore, because you're threatened, you're going to respond to the war. And lastly, to conquer, right? Men always have this funny thing inside them. You would agree with me. We're always in competition with each other, right? And that is also something that was sort of, it started back in history, and I'm not going to be talking much about that because that's not the aim of this video, but to also just conquer. That's one of the reasons why there's war, and these were the attributes of men. Now let's talk about our counterpart, women. Okay. Women used to sit at home back in times of history, right? And this could be purely because, well, like I said, they were not physically stronger than men, or because of whatever reason that was there, right? I know from, for example, if we are to look at this from a religious perspective, for example, Christianity, the story of creation, we know that God first created man and then woman, and then therefore that gave man the authority over woman. So therefore he had to actually go and wage war. But then basically we know that women would stay at home and take care for the kids because that is something that their nature, the way in which they were made, sort of requires them to do. But let's talk about the fact that what if the woman sat down and be like, nah man, we don't want to go and wage war, right? We don't want to get killed. Therefore, let's send these guys who believe they're superior to us to war, and then we will remain back home with the kids, right? It's not necessarily the fact that men cannot take care of kids and all that, and to some degree, well, we know that women are nurturing, and that's something that's needed for a child to develop and grow into a healthy, happy kid. But if you further look into it, right, society has been structured in a way that men are always superior than women. That's the way in which it has always been in history. I know that the dynamics is sort of shifting now, but if you look into it, that hasn't necessarily changed. It's just that from the outside, that's the paint that has been painted, but in essence, right? But then, like I said, I don't want to talk much more about power and all those things. So, back to the woman, right? Considering the first example that I made about Young, Mary, and Josh here, you'd agree that it was the woman who sort of spiked that emotion in Young to be able to declare war with Josh, right? Excuse me. Another thing as well, when a man and a woman are in a relationship, right? This is what happens typically, right? A man has that feeling that, you know what, now I have a woman. Okay, I'm a son, I'm a brother, right? And now I have a woman. Damn, I have to provide for this woman. I have to provide for my mother and father. I have to provide for my siblings. I have to provide for my family. I have to be something in society, right? Therefore, this man takes on the responsibility of providing for this woman. More or less, when we go into relationships, now let me modernalize this. When we go into relationships, we rarely assess a woman, right? Whether or not this woman is capable of building a family with you. But women are always testing men, right? Women, they throw tantrums all the time to test if a man is going to put up with their bad behavior. Women test to see which guy is portraying the most confidence, which guy is going to be able to provide for her offsprings. Right? Are you telling me that a woman sitting down and thinking, damn, if I'm going to have kids, that means I won't be able to move around as freely as I want for 9 months, and I have to depend on someone who will take care of me and my kids? Do you think she's really going to say, yeah, let me just pick, let's say, for example, Josh, because young is us, right? Josh, who is physically, let me pick Josh, who's physically weak, Josh, who doesn't have that much money, Josh, who doesn't command the respect of society. Josh is going to go for Young. Young, who is this muscular guy who is making 10 figures, who, you know, commands the respect of society. Which one do you think she's going to go for, right? Obviously, it's Young. Do you really think that it's emotion that's there? Well, let me further talk about this in this way. Actually, let me redraw these things here, right? With Young here. And then we have Josh. Then there's Mary. My drawing is funny now. Okay. Yeah, we have Mary. Now, Mary is assessing between Young and Josh. Now, let me further put these things here. This guy is making 10 figures. He's got 6 packs. Yeah, 6 pack abs. And then he's also respected in society. He's also strong as well. Josh, let's say maybe he's making 5 figures, right? Yeah, he's an average build. Respect, I won't talk much about that. He's even, since he's an average build, is weak. I don't like calling people weak and all that, those things, but yeah. Now, when this woman looks at these two guys, which one do you think she's going to choose? Even you as a man, if you look into this, you'd agree with me that this is more beneficial. Therefore, by virtue, she's going to go for this guy. Now let's talk about emotion. This woman, I'm going to make this like this. This woman, Mary and Josh, are in a relationship. She really, really loves Josh. They've been in a relationship for about 10 years, right? Now, for a second, let's forget about Young. They've been in a relationship for 10 years, everything has been fine and well. Since he's an average build, she doesn't really mind. He's got 5 figures, so they're stable and all those things. Loves him. Yeah. Then Young comes out from out of nowhere. This guy's got 6 packs, he's earning 10 figures. That's double the amount that Josh is making. He's got respect. He's strong. He commands the room whenever he walks. Okay. Now, Mary comes to, I mean, now the existence of Young comes to the awareness of Mary. Now she knows there's Young. Damn. Now she's thinking, okay, I love Josh. I love Josh, but then there's this Young man. This guy, it's like he doesn't even really notice me whenever he sees me. And yeah, it's like, sure. I don't even know how women think about these things. But I know for a fact that at the end of the day, she's going to go for this guy of whom she is also going to respect. And in addition to that, she's going to be thinking about the offsprings, right? As much as this guy makes 5 figures, this is more security for her and her offsprings in the future. If anything funny happens to this guy, he's going to go bankrupt, and her and her offsprings are going to die of hunger. But with this guy, in as much as something might happen, because of the fact that he has respect and is strong, he shows capacity that he's going to come back again from the shadows like he did in the situation, right? Therefore, just gonna go for Young. There, she loved this guy, but out of ration, she went for Young. She loved this guy. Josh was a nice guy. He's funny. He's everything. She loves him, but at the end of the day, she went for Young. That's not emotion there. It's rationality. Now let's talk about these two guys. Okay, Young first. Since now he has the attention of Mary, he's thinking, damn, I'm the best in the world. I was able to take this lady from this guy, Josh. Damn, okay. Now, Young, by virtue of the fact that he's making 10 figure 6 packs, that is respected and strong, it means that he has the mental capacity to be able to not lower his guard down because of a woman, right? We can agree that he has seen the world, right? But as time unfolds, Mary gets to him. This guy finally falls in love with Mary, right? And as time unfolds, you'd find that Young now starts to lower his guard because he has the attention of Mary. And Mary, to a larger degree, she's also saying that, Young, because you're working so hard and all those things, ain't it Young is going to be spending 2 hours at least in the gym to maintain his 6 pack? He's going to be spending about 12 hours, further building his money because, winners win, right? So he's always going to be wanting to win. He's going to have about, let's say, maybe at minimum an hour of a day or in 2 days' time for Mary. And then she's going to be complaining about that and all those other funny things. Eventually, she cracks into the emotion of Young. And now Young is starting to feel like, damn, man, if actually I don't give her time, maybe she might just leave and all those other things. Now Young starts to compromise. Instead of being consistent in the gym, going for 6 days in the gym, 2 hours, he now goes for at least maybe sometimes 4 days, and then he's not even as fueled in the gym as he used to be. Now his figures are now dropping to like 9, 8, and then he's saying, but then it's still 8, I'm still fine, you know. And then eventually he ends up like this guy. So ultimately, okay, before I actually go there, let me now explain what happens to Josh. Josh, my poor brother, got his heart broken. He got his heart broken. The heart of Josh is broken. Okay, Josh. For now, let's forget about Mary and Young. Josh, his heart is broken. He's sitting down, he's thinking to himself, damn, what might have happened? Okay? I mean, like, what happened? Like, what is it that I don't have that that guy has? I understand he's got 10 figures, six pack, and all those things, but I do earn as much. I mean, I was able to give her anything that she wanted, give her my time. He's not giving her his time. I was present, everything. But yeah. Okay, now Josh is hurt. Now Josh says, damn it, Mary, you're gonna regret losing me, a woman. Now Josh walks away. Fine. Josh starts going to the gym, right? All this is going to change. Josh starts going to the gym. Josh, my brother, is now a gym rat, right? This guy hits the gym. In the span of a year or so, earns that six packs. And actually, let's make it eight, because now he's fueled. He's fueled by the fact that this guy disrespected him, and he's fueled by the fact that this woman, she's gonna pay for leaving him alone. So we're making it eight packs. This guy is making 20 figures. Okay. He commands society. This is no longer about respect now. Even the ground he walks in, it pays homage to him. Josh, Josh, right. Now let me not talk further about this story, but what I'm trying to bring to you guys here is this. This woman loved this guy loved her. This guy, he was in the shadows, he didn't even care about relationships, but the moment he came and was in a relationship with this woman, eventually he fell in love with her. She was able to control whatever it is that he was doing. If she said, I'm gonna leave you if you don't do this, he banned his back. And I know that has to do with mindset and all those things, of which we're going to be talking about in the near future. But because of the emotion that Young had, he was able to compromise all of these things that he had built. This woman was strategic. She was rational enough to see that, you know what, if I go with this guy, it might just happen that I and my offspring might, struggle. And I know that this is no longer back then in history where would be actually saying those things. Women now can earn as much as these guys can earn, right? Society has changed, but still, human nature hasn't changed, right? Like I said, it's just how things have been painted, but human nature hasn't changed. She was rational, she was strategic, and she was able to now use the emotions of this guy in order to bring him to her command. Josh. Josh loved her and all those things, but after he got heartbroken, he used his emotion, excuse me, in order to come to this. He was rational at first, but he was earning five figures. He was weak, he was an average build because he was operating out of rationality. But because he got heartbroken, look at what happened. Right? And now the woman. Well, I believe that women, to a larger degree, they might be using their emotions as a weapon of strength, right? Since if something is mainstream known to be something else, it's easy for you to, use that to your advantage. As a woman, you know that men believe that they're rational. If I tell him something that has to do with emotions, he's not going to respond to that. But if I show my emotions, since he believes I am emotional, he's going to respond to that because he believes I, as a woman, am emotional. Okay. And just to say a funny story or just a funny analogy, it might be that women sat down and thought, you know what, actually, we can benefit from playing this game. Now, why not? Why not play it, right? I mean, Queen Elizabeth said something like that in one of the speeches. I didn't really go much into the story, but she was saying that she had to, maneuver around the society of which is dominated by men, and her as a woman, she also had to come to be strategic. I mean to say, these two guys, ultimately, it's emotion that drives us. I am a man. I agree. Emotions drive us, either be it at war or at relationships. It is just that we believe, or it's actually the case that we are made in such a manner that we do not show our emotions because we are physically stronger. And therefore, I can't be breaking down in front of a woman. I mean, as men, we are egotistical as well. So, be it at war, be it at relationships, ultimately men are emotional. He was emotional, he let his guard down, everything fell apart. He got emotional, but then this is what showed as the emotion, right? And this is just another thing. As men, we don't necessarily talk about our emotions, but our actions, our results show our emotions. He was heartbroken, tripled his income and all that. He was emotional, he was in love, everything fell apart. So, there, brothers, this is not just to say that women are evil and men can be dumb at times, but to just bring into context that this has been a lie that I believe society is lying to us, either to control men or to do whatever funny thing there is. Because society, if you look into it, society is a funny thing, brothers. Now, the way forward, now that you know that you aren't necessarily as rational as you thought you were, it's up to you to say, what is it that you're going to do from now on? Right? Are you going to still live like you didn't hear what I said now? Or you're going to actually take this and apply it into your life? It depends on how you want to apply it. But remember, you are largely driven by emotions. You are driven by emotions to protect your family and therefore defeat your enemy. You were driven by emotions because you fell in love with a woman, therefore everything fell apart. Right? Now, in conclusion, brothers, like I said, this wasn't to just say women are evil and men are dumb, but to just bring into context something that society has been telling us. Right? I like these topics where we just question things, just talk about things in a more deeper sense. So, we've been yapping for some time, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this and also I found it insightful as well. I'd really appreciate you to just throw in your thoughts. What do you think what I'm talking about makes sense or is just complete nonsense? And also, just let me know if this type of formats, this type of videos are something that you'd like us to continue having in future. Talk about a complex concept, bringing it down into a board like this. And other than that, you guys, from me to you guys, it's respect, peace, and honor. Until then, I'll catch you in the next one. Stay vibrant.